Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we'll be painting up a corpse grinder cultist for Necromunda. Very good sculpt, like pretty much all of them are. As you can see right there. Now these ones, I love these models, so I spend a little more time and a lot more variety in paints putting them together. Whether the extra effort shows off, who knows, and who's to say. But to paint this guy, primed him standard Mechanicus gray. Then I used mostly Army Painter paints for this. But for the base, there's a custom mix of 1 part Army Painter black and 2 parts Army Painter gunmetal. And then I used Army Painter weapon bronze, Necromancer cloak, Kobold skin, matte black, dragon red, mummy robes, leather brown, gunmetal, dry rust, corpse pale, plate mail silver, pure red, filthy corpse, wolf gray, skeleton bone, tanned flesh, and Army Painter shining silver. And out of the GW line, I use pretty much their washes because I like them. I use Seraphim Sepia and Dragenhoff Nightshade. So let's go ahead and get this guy started. So I primed my Skinner here, standard Mechanicus gray. Now I'm going to paint the base first. For that I'm going to use a custom color. Don't worry, this is 1 part Army Painter matte black, 2 parts Army Painter gunmetal. And normally I would just hand mix this, but I was doing so much Necromunda I made my own little vial. So we're just going to do the base here. Just start it off right. Get warmed up. I'm not going to do the little skull too much. I'm going to paint that a different color. Now the base is dried, and I'm ready to use some weapon bronze. And that's because it has the little skull logo there. These are normally people's favorite bases. So I'll just take our brush and fill in the skull logo. To paint the pants, we're going to use Necromancer Cloak. So we're just going to get our brush out. And since we're just blocking in right now, it can be a little messy. What I want to do, see there's an edge to the pants, so I want to make sure to get the belt loops. So we're going to go down to here, because right here the boot takes over. Next we're going to do the skin. I'm going to use some Kobold skin here for that. And we'll just start blocking it in. Just want to keep it from the parts we've already painted, but otherwise you can move quickly. Now note this particular model, so there's 2 Skinner models that have the butcher gloves like the initiates do. So we're going to leave the gloves for another time. Might need 2 coats, because this is a very light pigmented color, but I want that for their underground lifestyle to be exhibited. Just rough out around there, making sure not to touch the gray of the belt loops. Now I'm going to use some Army Painter matte black. And the sections we're going to do are the boots. Now he has little plates as a shin guard there, so we don't need to do those. I'm going to do his butcher's gloves and the grip on servo blades here. And the next will be these horns. You notice the horns right here, but they are cased in a plate. So we're just going to paint the natural horn itself, not the little covering on it. Now we'll move on to Army Painter's Dragon Red. And for this, I'm going to do the weapon flats there. Do this. Alright, so I'll just mark this out. You don't want to watch me paint. Alright, so we'll do the breastplate. There's a little loin guard here. This is also a plate. There's just little straps moving around it, so it's got a kind of organic look to it. Just don't forget this side. This stuff we're going to paint metallic color. Just don't hit the black at this part. We're not going to do the face mask now, but we're going to do these little horn elements. So the natural side of the horn we did black, and then what looks like little plates set into it we're going to do red. With the mask we're going to do another color. Now we also have these little charms that they all seem to wear. And I also want to do his shin guards. Then he has thigh guards. I'm going to go for a darker red on the base here. We're going to build on that. Now we've got all the back here. So we'll just keep going around until we get all this fleshed in. Some of it I might need 2 coats. We'll see. Now we'll use Army Painter Mummy Robes. And you're right, this will be for his little butcher apron. See a piece of it curls over the top here. So carefully do the top edge. You also have, I'm going to do these little straps in white. Okay. It's tricky sometimes the way they hold their arms. Work in there. Try to get around back here. Move nice and slowly. We're going to start painting some of the straps and the belt. And we're going to use leather brown. So he's got some here holding his armored chest piece. And you notice that as I put on the red, brown, and black, the last thing I'm going to paint is the metal bits. That's why I'm not worried about hitting them. So you'll notice I'm working from the outside, the inside out. The thing closest to the mass of the model. Let's get its matched mate. And then the other parts will be straps holding his shin pads or greaves on. Then the belt. So I gotta be careful not to hit the pants, pant loops, or the skin. I don't know how successful I am with the skin. Now we're going to start doing up some of the little pieces here. So I'm going to use Army Painter Gun Metal. Where did my brush go? There it is. Alright, so easy one here. You want the teeth in the bone saw. But then we want to put on, I'm going to make all this rebreather stuff back here. Metal. There we go. And little accoutrements on the blade. Those little attachments. You can go back and forth, deciding what you want to paint, gunmetal versus red. Now, the blood effects we'll do later. Don't worry about that. Alright, now the fun part is going to be all the little metal bits over here. So I'm reading this part of the belt as metal. And it's got a little clip right there. Yeah, all these little rings that tie into his little butcher outfit. So we'll get those all metal. They are everywhere. You gotta go nice and slow. Here we go. Might have to switch to a smaller brush. Okay, so he's got little clips here on the leather. There we go. Just got to do all these little rings. Remember, you're just doing like the sides of them because the cloth goes through the middle and the top. There we go. So short, patient strokes here. Oh, and also the little charms here have little rings on them. So we'll dab those. Excellent. Let me go finish cleaning this guy up. Now while I wait for this guy to dry, I'm coming up on a part where I've got to go to sleep. So I'm going to do something that's going to take a while to dry. And that's a good way to do your workflow here. I'm going to work on the base. So you can see I'm taking it out of its handle, and I'm going to grab some Army Painter dry rust. Let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to get a little spot of it like that. And then I am going to find the right brush. So this one kind of sharp but falling apart. Going to grab it by the top guy here. Take the butt here, get some water, and drop it in with the rust. I'm going to stir it up. So I've thinned down the paint. I'm going to take it and I'm going to pull it up. See how fast it runs down. Not fast enough. I want a little bit thinner. Let it just slightly cling. So I'll do it again. Better, maybe a little bit more. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. I don't know how well you can see that. Let's get the brush wet here. I'm going to touch everything that's metal. Now notice, I'll point this out now, there's a little skull thing he's standing on. I would paint that a skull color, but I'm doing this glazing treatment right now. So I don't want, because the viscosity, the capillary action would mean that bones that I just painted would just become orange. You see right there, the paint's crawling up the side of it. So I'm going to do this first, and go do the bones last. Now with the shoes, the paint, there's actually a gap between the base and his shoes there. So the paint will slide underneath, so I don't have to worry about that, not like the bones. But you see here, it looks a bright neon orange. That'll dry away. And because of the capillary action, viscosity, whatever, gravity and such will interfere and pull much of the orange down away from the raised surfaces there. And I'm not really going to get the rust on the gold portion. We're going to do a different type of corrosion effect for that. Okay. There we go. You might not want to do your bases like this. I do it. I do all my terrain to match it. So all my stuff is matchy-matchy. Cool. Alright, now we're going to let that dry overnight. We'll come back tomorrow. So you can see that the dry rust has dried quite nicely. Get a nice rusty effect in there. And now, since I've woken up early in the morning, about to head off to work, I'm going to take some Seraphim Sepia here. What I'm going to do, take a brush that's been messed up, falling apart, but it's great for slopping on wash. And I'm just going to coat this whole thing here. I forgot to do the skull first. Doggone it. Alright. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some corpse pail. I'm kind of calling an audible on this one. That's what happens when you wake up and you're tired. I got some of the corpse pail there. Makes a good bone color. Made a big point about that last night. Forgot all about it. I'm carefully swiping through here. Okay. There, now I got the bones done. I can get back to washing this guy. Okay, now I think that skeleton is time to dry. Quick hit like that. Perfect. So you see the guy looks a ton better already. Alright, now we're going to let him dry, and when I get back from work, we'll finish touching him up. Now you see the base is dried up nicely, so I'm happy with how that looks, that heavy rust feel. Now I'm going to do some touch-ups around here, make it pop, so we're going to use some Army Painter Pure Red. Now I'm just going to use my little brush, and I'm just going to run down the flats and the edges of his various plates. Now, something I should point out that you can do is that as I do this, I will take areas where I think the light would be coming down like this, and those areas, like right here, will get 2 coats. Some might get 3 coats. All depends. Do a second coat thinner line right there. And see how that makes the plate pop out a little bit more. And of course at this stage we've got to be very careful with our lines because we don't want to have to go back and touch things up. And so you imagine what I just did there on those plates. Just keep doing on all the red plates. Picking out certain areas that'll get the magical second and third coat. Alright, we'll be back. Got the red layered on there real nice. So I'm going to use some Army Painter Plate Mail Metal. Man, I tripped up on that one. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is his mask. Now, a lot of them is going to be dingy and bloody, except his mask. And that's just going to be all silver. Except for the optics, but we're going to do that later. And since we got the plate mail silver out, we're going to do these little buckle areas. We'll just touch the top corner of them, give them a little extra contrast and shine. So just like little dots. Got little ringlets here. So wherever we see metal, just get a little touch. You notice as we start going down through the highlighting, it really spiffies it up. There's so many little buckles on here. You can do them quickly, so you just need a touch, but just gotta remember to do them all. Turning out well so far, but now I want to take some Dragenhoff Nightshade, and we're just going to do the mask. So that's how I'm going to shade him. Now, before I used a big sloppy brush, I'm going to use my fine point brush here. And just a little coating, nothing too spectacular. And just give a little hint. This will allow us to control it too. So it doesn't go everywhere. And did the back of his head in silver too. Okay, get that around there. There, that's looking good. Now we're going to use some Army Painter Filthy Cape. And this was a brush that was one sharp, but I've cut all the bristles down till there's just a couple left, and it makes for a very tiny, very precise dry brush. Dip the paint, wipe a bunch of it off, and I am going to run it on his pants. And we're also going to do not the gloves. Don't want to do the gloves. And not the horns. Do that something else. But you see, it's extra small, so I can reach to these little areas. And you can dry brush to taste. Don't forget the boots. Now we're going to take some Army Painter Wolf Gray. Using the same brush. I actually haven't cleaned it out yet, just rolled right into it. We're going to use the Wolf Gray to pick out the details. I'm going to give it more of a vinyl latex look to it than a fabric look. But it got a lot of musculature here. And you see by doing the blacks, doing this little dry brush highlight with different colors, we can make the blacks look like different materials. And now, just going to wipe off my brush some more. We get some skeleton bone. We'll get these just a touch on the horns. There we go. All the black colors, little dry brush highlight, and 3 different highlight colors. I guess that's boots are black, that's Necromancer Cloak. Okay. Alright, let's move on to the next color. Now we got back out our Kobold skin. What we're going to do is kind of smooth out what we did with the wash. So we're going to take the raised edges, the musculature, and just put a slight little bead of paint. Just kind of touch the eyeballs, we'll stroke right there, move on to the delts. So we'll go like that. Little smooth, thin coats. Paint. And where we want it lighter, say like where the light will be coming down from above, put more than one coat, maybe even 2 coats. Slow and patient gets us there. Now let's pull out some corpse pale here. You can see using this musculature, got some good, like the areas that look darker, that was 1 coat, lighter areas that was 2, maybe 3 coats. And do the same thing with the corpse pale. Just get a lot of just a touch of paint. Just highlight some of these areas. Give them that pale underground look. Just touching the tops of the musculature. That off quickly. Alright, we just keep going around like that. Just running this across the tops of the muscles. Now it's time for mummy robes again. And we're just going to keep on doing like we were doing. And just put a highlight along the edge of this stuff. Just to make it pop out a little bit more. So we just find those edges. Next I'm going to use some Army Painter Tanned Flesh, and this will not be for his flesh. Instead, I like to use it for is just taking the side of the tip of my brush. I like to highlight leather brown with it. Just a little hint of color. We don't have too much to do. There's a couple straps around here. Alright, so you look at it, we have these ones here too, so mostly it's just the belt. Puts a fun little highlight. As soon as you put that on, you really give a lot more character to the model. Now we're going to finish up the mask, so I'm going to go back to Dragon Red, and I get my tiniest brush. And what I'm going to do is I actually find it's helpful when you're doing eyes to turn the model upside down. Of course, I had to turn right back up, side back up because I'm right-handed. So let's get really extreme close-up. So just a little touch in there, and we got nice glowy eyes. Now we're going to use some shining silver. Get the tray situated. Okay. I'm just taking hints of it. We're going to highlight it. I do it in this order just in case I was a little off with the eye. Just getting some of those raised edges. Alright, and there it is. Really beautiful model. Love the Necromunda line. That's why I use a lot more paints than I normally do in my other models. Alright. Now I've just got to finish up the rest of them. They're off camera to the side, so I'll finish touching those up. And you have a good day. Thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.